Hey guys, I just felt compelled to go online, just share some of the thoughts running through my head. So I think, ever since I was a young kid, I was always asking myself, why am I here? What is the purpose of my life? Who am I? What do I want? When I was growing up, people always ask me, are you Chinese? Are you mixed? Are you Malay? Are you Indonesian? Are you something else? And I always thought I had an identity crisis. And I thought I had an identity crisis because of my ethnicity, which is basically mixed. But I think later on, I really realized that it's really way more than that. Like somehow I felt that I never belonged in every stage of life. So I would always find myself many times asking myself, why am I here? What's the purpose of me being here? Why do I exist? And who am I? And what do I want? And I've been seeing some people share about not remembering what's happening in their life. For example, I have people close to me that say I don't remember anything from before 5 years old, or I don't remember anything from before 6 years old. And if you're in the chat, by the way, just say hi. And if you've ever asked yourself any of these questions, you can just say yes also, so I know that I'm not alone. And there's some people that say, oh, I remember this time and I remember this time and I don't remember this time at all. Maybe I don't remember when I was 9 years old at all, right? So, and I've always wondered, do we really know who we are if we cannot remember what happened in our life? And this question of who am I and do I really know who I am and why I'm here? You think that you know yourself and you think that you know your origins and your story. And always thought I always knew my story. And it's very interesting because for those who are closer to me, those who know my story, a few months before I got married, I actually called off my marriage. And it was very sudden, but it felt something that I wanted to do, that I felt very, it was, I didn't want to go through with it. The long story short, we put it back on, and Jenny's my wife, and we have two kids, and we're actually in a much better place right now. But I do remember telling Jenny, I feel like I'm so broken that I don't know whether I can love. I feel I'm so broken that I don't know whether I can be loved. And during that time, like that 1 month plus 2 months that the marriage was called off, I actually remember my mom coming to me crying, and she was crying and crying and crying, and she said, "You know what? Your father did this to me. He canceled the marriage as well, and I begged him to stay." And I went, "What? Oh my God!" And I couldn't believe it because I thought I knew my life. I thought I knew my origins, and I thought I knew my story, but what I knew was completely false. And if you ever found out anything like life changing about yourself, you can also say yes. Um, so the long story short around that was I found out that what I was told as a kid growing up by my parents, by those around me, wasn't true. The fairy tales wasn't true. And the second thing that I realized was that somehow I was copy and pasting, I was photocopying the exact same thing. My parents called off the marriage, I called off my marriage. And I always wonder, why is it that my dad's so angry and I'm so angry? Why is it that he has this problem and I have this problem? Why is it that he has eczema, I have eczema? Why is it that he has high blood pressure and I just got diagnosed with borderline high blood pressure last year, which I had to address as well? And it's like somehow the mistakes of my past, or even it's not even my past, it's the past of my past, is like, not even belonging to me, but I get to live it as well. So I think this whole idea of who am I? Why am I here? Why me? Why is this happening to me? I think I remember spending many, many nights, especially when I was in army, really just asking myself these questions. And, I think it's just something that we want to really ask ourselves. I mean, if you're asking yourself these kind of questions, I think you are not alone. You're not crazy because, I've, especially in the work that we're doing now, we see so many people coming in with stories of lost memories or real inner conflict or real traumas of love or traumas of identity. And today I learned we had a workshop with about 40 plus practitioners in training from all over the world, actually about 11 countries, Germany, Norway, the UK, Brazil, Russia, Romania, Singapore, Malaysia. And we were learning in one of these processes, we were learning about what we call self-sacrifice. Why is it that people sacrifice themselves? And a lot of that is really driven, if you find yourself sacrificing to give yourself to others, if you're saying, I'm giving all of myself, I give all of myself, and you're doing that to your spouse, to your friends, to your family, to your parents, to your best friends, to your teammates, and inevitably people who self-sacrifice will become empty because they get so tired, they get so burnt out, they get maybe pissed off, maybe they feel imbalanced, maybe they feel unfair. But self-sacrifice is really just the idea that if I help and if I give to those that I'm dependent on them because I need the love to live. Otherwise, why am I here? Hopefully, when I give and give and give of myself, then they will love me. And that's really interesting, right? Like, the idea that I have to do something to give to you, to add value to you, then I'm a good boy, or I'm worth loving, or finally you can see me. And basically the basis of that is we are not loved for who we are. We're not seen for who we are, only when we are doing something or being something or achieving something. And I remember every exam when I was a kid, my dad would look at me and say, "This is a disappointment, you're useless, you're not my..." And this was every exam, every year, every few months, he would be looking at me and saying that to me. So I could not be Imran and be loved. When just being Imran, I'm not accepted, I'm rejected. And that's something that's very interesting, because when you're not loved, then you learn not to love yourself. And it's very interesting what we then do to ourselves, to attack ourselves, to unlove ourselves, to not love ourselves, in order so that someone else can love us, in order that our caregivers can love us. So I mean that started really answering a lot of these questions. And if any of this at all makes sense to you, you can just say yes, or I agree, or I resonate, or I can relate, or someone that has ever seen or felt like this. Oh, hi Nadia, I saw you. I just saw you. Sorry. And I also learned something today, that our body and our mind has this almost infinite capacity to heal. Like if you're in a car crash and you break almost every bone in your body actually has the capacity to heal. But it's also interesting that I was really kind of like learning or relearning, or actually it's funny that I had to learn it, that our mind and our heart can actually learn how to heal as well. That even though we think we are broken, we can really heal that as well. And but if you're not aware of that, or if you're not aware of this pain, or if you say, that's in the past, I was a kid, or I'm not a kid anymore, somehow you can see how it still drags on throughout our life. Somehow the anger carries on, even though we deny it. Somehow the pain carries on, even though we don't look at it. You can probably relate to knowing people who are just angry no matter what, who are just lonely no matter what, who are just helpless no matter what, who are just lost no matter what, who are feeling down and depressed no matter what. And those are cycles. It's not about COVID, it's not about crisis, it's really what's happening internally. Because you can be a job seeker and you can feel lost in this current moment, or you can be a job seeker and you can be very excited, very focused, very proactive, and taking initiative. There's nothing to do with the crisis and everything to do with the person. So that has a very big bearing and effect to the rest of our life. So it was just very interesting, because I remember that I've been looking and searching and studying for a long, long time. Every seminar, every conference, every book, every audiobook, every video that I could get my hands on, I would try to get to do it. I went to success seminars and life seminars and juice cleanse and energy healing and NLP and religion and meditation, one-on-one coaching. And I was really looking for answers to these questions, and suddenly it's like somehow I knew that something's not right inside. And somehow I could see all the symptoms of these in my life. Like, why am I always triggered? I know that when I get triggered, I'm not acting rationally, because I act with, I just act on the spur of the moment. And even though I consider myself a smart guy, I would be doing things that are self-sabotaging to myself, to my health, to my, like, for example, smoking. I would smoke because I'm stressed. And I would be saying, I want to maintain my health, but then I hurt myself. Or I would be saying, I want love and I want a happy family, but then I would be accusing my wife of doing things. It's just so funny that when we get triggered, we hurt ourselves, we hurt the things that we want, we hurt the people that we love, we hurt the relationships that we cherish. And that is really what we call not self-love. That is when you learn to not love yourself. That is when you learn to attack yourself. And I somehow got so good at attacking myself. And if you ever resonate to the idea that you criticize yourself, that you attack yourself, that I'm not good enough, because that was always my theme, you can also say yes as well. Even if it's not a comment, you can just think that as well. And it's really funny because you can't really open up your head, you can't really open up your heart and say what's going on inside there. At least it's not something that is commonly known for most people. And it was only recently when I really found the way to, like a method that completely blew my mind, to be able to look at what's going on inside the psyche. Why there's so many voices in my head, and what are they, who are they, and what are they saying? And for the first time, I could see all my voices in my head. For the first time, I could see like my childhood being replayed out in my life. I'm getting goosebumps because I can see the anger of my dad. And this is not me, it's someone else playing that, and they don't know who I am and I don't know who they are. Putra, okay, I feel you as well. I think there are many common themes in humanity, and it's like for the first time I felt understood, because everything in the self-help game is telling you you're not enough. You're not successful because you never adopted the millionaire mindset. You're not successful because you don't wake up at 5 a.m. You're not successful because you didn't do keto. You're not successful because you haven't adopted a funnel. You're not successful because you're not doing Facebook ads. Basically, whatever it is, the idea is that it's preying on your insecurity. It's preying on the feeling that I'm incomplete, I'm broken, I'm not enough. And for the first time, I could see that the answers are from within myself. And once you can see the answers from within yourself, then no one needs to teach you anything. No one needs to tell you anything. You know suddenly what to do for yourself. It's just amazing, and just like a mind hack, right? You talk about mind hack, but a lot of mind hacks are just little techniques to do, maybe read twice as fast or remember twice as fast. But this is more of, how do I get to the roots of everything? Because my anger or my money issue or my relationship issue is just the tip of the surface. It's just a symptom, right? You guys know what the difference between a symptom and a root cause is, right? And the root cause is what's the reason behind 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 the reason behind. And if you are not loving yourself, or if you are angry with yourself, or if you're criticizing yourself, just know that you are not born that way. No baby is born into this world self-critical. I've got 2 kids, 2 daughters, and they are born into the world with only love. They only know how to love. They only know how to laugh. And if they learn anything else, it's because they learned it from somewhere else. So if we are criticizing ourselves, then the question is, where did we learn it from? What criticized us first, or who criticized us first, or when were we first criticized, or when were we first not enough? And when I thought that it was me at 7 years old or 8 years old being hit on the head for not scoring high enough, I realized that it was so much earlier. I could see from some of these process and therapies that even in the womb, I was not feeling good enough. Even in the womb, I was not feeling safe. So you talk about mind hack, you talk about getting the root cause. It's nothing to do with about techniques or how-tos. It's not about being smart, because if you're on a call, if you're my friend, I'm pretty sure you're a very, very smart person. Nothing about that. You probably already know what you need to do to succeed. It's nothing about the techniques, right? It's really about, why is it that I'm not allowing myself to succeed? Why is it that I'm attacking myself? And it's really, really about that. So, if I'm giving and giving and giving, if I'm self-sacrificing, then the reason is, maybe if I help you, maybe I can be loved. Maybe you will love me. And the basis is because I cannot be loved for who I am. Then the question is, where did I learn that from? The question is, where did we learn that from? The question is, who was it that didn't love us for who we are? And then the second thing was really around an unloved child, a child that's not loved, learns not to love himself or herself, because you exhibit the behavior, you model behavior of the caregivers, the people that didn't love you in the first place. And even if it's someone that is saying, whatever you're doing, the score is not good enough. Even though they're feeding you, even though they're clothing you, even though they have a roof over your head, they're just constantly saying you're not good enough. That just means that you being you is just not good enough. And some people have already said that they resonate with that. And at least for me, that's the story of my life. And for me, it really took me really looking at the root of that, because the answer, the solution was nothing about money, was nothing about business models, nothing about lead generation, was nothing about investing, nothing about the tactics. So a lot of people are looking for tactics to make money now. A lot of people are looking for tactics to get rich now. A lot of people are looking for tactics to pivot right now, and it's really nothing about that. And the crisis just amplifies all the stuff that's going on inside. And really, what we gotta really ask ourselves is, why is it that these symptoms or these feelings occur all the time? Because money is not the issue. Money is not the solution, right? Because so many people with money are depressed. So many people with successful businesses have broken families. So many celebrities commit suicide, and the money, the recognition is not the solution to it. So if we are feeling empty, or we are feeling lost, or we are feeling unloved, or we are feeling frustrated, or we are feeling helpless, then the more money is not going to solve that problem. And so when I learned about my own answers, I really shifted, and people were coming to me and saying, "Imran, what happened to you? Are you younger? Are you you look happier? What's going on?" And actually, the truth is, nothing happened, because after healing, there was nothing I needed to do, because it was just a natural shift. Hi, Nurfahana. It's just a natural shift, and there was really nothing that I needed to do after I healed. And if people are asking, how do I remember all these lost memories? And you might think that you know about your story as well, but for every conscious memory we have thousands of memories that we don't remember. Why is it I get triggered? What is self-love? How come I feel I cannot self-love? What is my identity? How come I don't feel that I know who I am? Why is it that I go for a goal and I realize that that goal is not what I want, or I already know the goal that I'm after right now is not what I really want? Why is it that I have money but I feel like I have not enough? Why is it that I have something, a job, a status, but I feel that I am unhappy? Why is it that I plan for my goals, but the next day I cannot wake up? Why is it that I say I want love and a happy family, but the next moment I'm shouting at my spouse? And all these are symptoms of these traumas, of this hurt, of this past experiences really just still being there, still somehow hurting us, somehow still being with us. For me, it was my father's voice in my head, and I can have my own life, my own wife, my own house, my own business, and I still somehow had my father's voice judging me and criticizing me every day, every moment inside. And that's why I was just constantly not happy, angry, frustrated, unfair, unloved, cannot love, cannot have peace. And it was really only when I was able to mind hack, get into my unconscious, see it all for what it is, and see it's nothing to do with business models and money and tactics and techniques and strategies and everything to do with what's really going on inside, and to finally not avoid my pain, to finally see it for what it is, to finally not try to reframe or think positively, to really understand myself. Then that's when I shifted. That's when I suddenly became happier, took care of myself, made the changes that were last time it was difficult, to stop my business, to terminate my partnerships, to pivot, to change my business, to change my trade. It was difficult, but suddenly when I loved myself, suddenly when I was in contact with myself, suddenly when I found resources, everything was easy. And that was really that shift. So I just wanted to share that because I remember so many sleepless nights looking out into the distance, asking, why am I here? What's the purpose of my life? Who am I? What do I want? And I had no idea of all of these questions and all these answers. And somehow I started finding questions and answers to answers to them. And after a while, I stripped off the layers of the onion, and suddenly I started to become okay with just being Imran. So I'm not the entrepreneur, I'm not a director of chamber, I'm not a president of BNI, I'm not a father, I'm not a serial entrepreneur, I'm not an international speaker. I took away all of those titles and all of those labels, and I just said, I just want to be Imran. I'm tired of being something else that I'm not. And maybe you can ask yourself, if I took away all of that, if I took away my job title, if I took away my ethnicity, if I took away my any titles and social clubs and religion labels, right? Labels. If I took away all these labels, then who am I? I think that's a good place to start. Who am I? If I took away everything, if I don't prop myself on a nationality, an ethnicity, a race, a job title, a company, a brand, then who am I? And I remember feeling like I was falling into an abyss because I had no idea who I was. And I think that is the journey upwards, right? And you can only really look at the truth once you strip away what is not real and what is not essential. Thank you, Sinjin. I don't know. I don't have a conscious effort to look younger, but I do feel a bit younger, mentally and emotionally, maybe not physically, maybe. So I just want to share that experience around that, because I really asked myself, why do I not remember so many things in my life? Why do I not know who I am? Why is it that I thought I know my story and my life, and it turns out that the more that I know, the more I realize I did not know about my past, of my origins, of what really was of me. And it was only when I started looking inward that I started finding the resources, the energy, the usefulness, the answers, and I could stop pretending. It's like I was asking people to validate me, because it's like me going to my dad saying, "Daddy, can you see me now? Daddy, can you see me now? Daddy, can you see me now? Daddy, I'm an entrepreneur. Can you see me now? Daddy, I'm a president of a BNI. Can you see me now? Daddy, can you see me now? I'm a director of a chamber. Can you love me now? Can you accept me now? Am I worthy enough now?" And I would tell people that it's just good business, it's just personal branding, but actually it was just a very deep-seated need to be loved, to be wanted, to finally get that love and attention and worthiness that every human actually really, really craves. And it's just very interesting what we do to ourselves. We can deny ourselves, we can attack ourselves in order to be loved. That is what self-sacrifice is. I deny myself, I give all of myself away just for the hope that you can love me. And once I realized that, it's crazy because you can't love when you're in that state. If you're in self-sacrifice, it's not love. And it's not fair for the other person. It was not fair for my wife to tell her I'm sacrificing everything for you. Now you love me. Is that love? That's a transaction, guys. So it's not love for yourself. It's not love for anyone else. But that's what we learn as someone, as a child who's not loved for who we are. If you are only loved as a child, if you scored a certain grade, if you went to certain school, if you got a certain degree, if you went to a certain institution, if you got a certain job, if that was the only reason that you would be loved and not because you are you. By the way, if you're listening in, you're not alone and I love you for just who you are. But if the people closest to us could not accept that, then we learn to deny ourselves. Then we learn to not love ourselves. Then that's the question that we can ask ourselves: what is self-love? What does it mean to love myself? What does it mean to know myself? What does it mean to be in contact with myself? What does it mean to love and not be in self-sacrifice? So I think these are some things that I've been learning along the way, because I had so many questions around that. And I really wish that I found my answers so much earlier, because I went through a lot of pain. Even after we called off our marriage and then put it back on, even throughout the marriage, there were times where my wife would look at me and say, I'm going to leave you. It's very painful. And you really start taking stock. Why do I act this way? I say I love her. Why do I act this way? I say I want this happy marriage. Why do I act this way? And it's just not rational. It's not what is nurturing for yourself, for your relationship, but somehow there is that trigger, there is that self-sabotage, and that origin is when you deny yourself, when you don't love yourself, when you're not in contact with yourself. And if you ever saw any time where you get triggered, where you get self-harm, where you get angry, when you lash out, these are symptoms that these are happening for you. These are symptoms that these are happening for those around you, right? And this really stems from not being in contact with ourselves, for not loving ourselves truly, right? Because loving ourselves is not selfish. Loving ourselves is not this crazy arty-farty rainbows and whatnot. It's just about saying, I am me and I love me for me. And then you being complete, you can love others. So I really like to just keep this conversation open. And if any of this resonated with you, just share, just comment. If you're shy to share any of this publicly, of course you're more than welcome to just message me and say hi. But I'm going into day 2 and day 3 of a international workshop, so it's going to be very tiring. So I just finished a 10-hour day as well. But it really struck me because these were questions that I was really asking for many years of my life, and going seminar after seminar, guru after guru, method after method. They just tell you are incomplete, you are not successful because you didn't adopt this success mindset, because you didn't adopt a millionaire mindset, because you didn't take this tactic or this technique or this strategy or leads or a funnel, when really all that's needed for you to love yourself and succeed for yourself is to really just regain all of yourself, be complete with all yourself, and then you just do what's good for you, right? I don't have anything to tell you or to prescribe to you. I think once you find yourself and really truly integrate and love yourself, you'll just decide and make the moves which are right for you, because everyone has a different life. And that's really all I wanted to say. And if you wanted any insight or sharing about that life hack and that mind hack, the things, the journey that I went through, I'm more than happy to share with you. So just drop me a message and I'll see you next time.